Yes, Corinne. Phil crashed in London when he was out riding around Buckingham Palace. Unfortunate accident, but you know, I guess the risks are even greater when you ride in central London. Not that he can really go anywhere else, but yeah, it's unfortunate, but these things happen when you're on a bike. Hello everyone. See you all joined. Nice to see you all this evening. So, what have we got in store tonight? Well, it's kind of like a half race, half group ride. Those of you that aren't from the UK, I'll explain to you what the Donny Chaingang is. Often referred to as the Donny Chaingang, also known as the Doncaster Chaingang. It's pretty much probably one of the biggest notorious group rides for strong riders in the UK. Like if you ride to any kind of high level in the UK, you probably would have heard of it at some point. If not, that doesn't mean you have no idea. Like, but yeah, they're basically. Do I wrap my own bar tip? Yes, I do. But yeah, the Donny Chaingang, notorious in real life for being very fast. You know, full of kind of ex-pro riders and current pro riders. And you know, from what I've seen on Strava, from like Ben Swift, Connor Swift, Graham Briggs, Russ Downing, Dean Downing, you know, all these riders have come through and gone through, you know, when they've ridden in that area, when they've grown up in that area. Oh, I know. Let's just give a minute silence for Cam and his 100,000 subscribers. Okay, there we go. That's a minute silence for Cam and his 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, I mean, the Donny Chaingang, full of hitters. Cam will never be the same again. Yeah, too right. Yeah, we'll never be able to associate ourselves with Cam ever again, Lord. Yeah, video tutorial on what, Val? How I get on this ride? So I'll repeat what I said earlier. This is a half group ride, half race. Oh, tutorial rapid bar tip. Yeah, I can do when I get some new bar tip. Yeah, so this is going to be, it's 4 laps of Innsbruck Ring. So we've obviously got the leg snapper, and we finish, you know, with the flat finish. So how it's going to work out is Russ Downing, those of you must know Russ Downing, you know, rode for Team Sky. We've got Dean Downing, who's just appeared in the chat. Both riders, fun fact, both of them raced for the same team that I raced for. And both incredibly successful bike riders. Learned a lot from Russ. But what what they've done is they've taken the Donny Chaingang from outside and they've just put it on a virtual platform. And it's going to be a couple of laps of just following the beacon, and then it's going to be a race to the finish, just like the Donny Chaingang would be in real life. And the Donny Chaingang does, as you'd imagine, get very, very hot at the end. It gets really hotly contested, take no prisoners sort of thing, because it is like a real world Chaingang, a real world group ride. So it may get kind of aggressive towards the end. So the Donny Chaingang have actually got a Facebook page. It's a private page. I was actually invited to it, so I don't know whether or not like you can apply to get invited. I don't know. All I know is that this ride doesn't appear on Zwift Companion, so you have to have the link. You have to be in the Facebook group to have the link to the ride to then get in the ride, if that makes any sense. So it's not really it's not like an open invitation. Is it aggressive from the start, is it? Alright, fair enough. Dan Evans isn't here, I don't think. I don't know if he is or not, but I've heard stories of riders, like the fact that it's so hard, riders just get dropped. So we shall see for ourselves, won't we? We'll see how hard it is. I mean, to be fair, we've done our fair share of hard races on Zwift and in real life, so we'll see how it compares. And if it's steady enough, I might be able to give you some like old stories from when me and Russ used to race together, like when we went to the Tour of Taiwan, Tour of Korea rather, yeah, how he helped me, and our rides in Mallorca as well. That was something else. Evening, Gus. Nice to see you here. What do you think about the big man getting 100,000 then? He's going to leave the Wahoo group now because he's too good for us. There's also prizes as well in this event. So the closest you are to the beacon when you go through the finish, you get a prize. It's even sponsored by Muck Off, of all people. Yeah, Josh, I'm doing the hill climbs. They're on Friday. This Friday evening, the hill climbs. Yeah, he doesn't need us anymore, Gus. That's the end of it. So yeah, it's going to be by the way, those of you who see my new peak palette this morning, I know the live stream went a bit funny, but there's actual evidence of me doing 900 watts or 899 watts for 5 seconds. So, come on, we're going for it. 125, 130 RPM I was doing. 125 RPM. Well, it is still a real event, but nobody's doing it, obviously. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, crikey, Gus. I saw you Zwifting at like 8 o'clock this morning, which is obviously like 9 o'clock your time, but fair play. Oh. I just went straight on the line. I have to apologise for that. Nah. I knew what the rules were. I knew what the rules were. It's just people are telling me that this is like notoriously fast from the start. Somebody's gone for a flyer already. So yeah, Pritch did this last week. He called it like the greatest chain gang, didn't he? The greatest chain gang in the world. Come on in, Russ. Pick me for that muck off prize, because I need some chain degreaser. I know, Daniel, right? It was a proper reflex action to sprint up the line. I know, yeah. Chris Oakley does some big power. That's very, very true. To be fair, like that's his only card to play then, though, isn't it? Which makes it a little bit, well, a little bit of a marked man. I have to say, like my 1100 outside at 60 kilos, I don't know how heavy Chris is. He must be near enough, like, you know, 75, 80 kilos maybe. Obviously watts per kilo don't matter in a sprint, but... Oh, nice one, Badges, Ira. There's Dean down here. Look, Ben Swift is here. There's Ben Swift, guys. Look, 8 seconds back. I think we've dropped him now. Yeah. Oh, Dino's moving up. Dean down in. So, I'll tell you a little bit of a story then. So, story time. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, there's lots of sprinters that could potentially lose weight, still go as fast and still be as strong, but be far more efficient at getting all the climbs and, well, anything really. But Opie's always been like a pure out and out, like, you know, he's a very good criterium rider now. He was a very good all-rounder back in the day. Look, there's a national champs jersey. This is pretty steady, obviously. Yeah, so story time. Me and Gus. Me and Mills. Me and Gus. Me and Russ. We raced on the same team, like back in, whoa, trying to think now. Maybe 2017, 2018, and yeah, I got 660 for a minute. Some of the guys on here in this chat have got more than that for a minute. Anyway. Yeah, that's true, isn't it, Gus? That's very true. So me and Russ and Tom Moses, we went out about 3 or 4 years ago to Mallorca to do like a pre-season training camp, just 3 of us. And the team paid for us to go up there. And we had some decent rides, and it was funny because Russ, very much still, like, very bought into technology, but still very much that old school mentality of, you know, you ride to kind of what your body feels like it needs to ride at particularly when we were training, you know, day after day on this training camp. And he was like, we were riding along for some of these sessions, and he'd just be like, oh, I remember when we were racing in Mallorca like years ago, like in the 90s, early 2000s. I won a race here, and like, you know, this is where the finish line was, and it was like in the middle of nowhere in Mallorca. And I'm pretty sure Russ came to Portugal with us to do the Volta Portugal. And it was my first time riding a really long stage race, and having him there was invaluable. Just because he'd been in that situation with the Giro riding for Sky, and I don't know how many people know this, but Russ was actually the first person to get a win for Team Sky when it first started. I have a feeling I'm going to have a sprint PB tonight. I reckon we're going for it. I reckon we go for a sprint PB. It was obviously on the cards this morning. What are we saying? What did you hear on the Gruppetto podcast? Oh, that he was the first rider. Yeah. I feel sorry, well, not sorry, but he had such a good career, Russ. Such a good career. Gobbles are horrible. You love Lincoln GP, Russ. What are you talking about? Yeah, nobody knows why it was taken down, to be honest, Tom. What's the story behind Russ? He's just an absolute legend. He's a British racing legend. I think, you know, that's the fairest way to put it, isn't it? There is Russ. I like riding next to Swifty. I reckon if I stay with Swifty, I'll be alright. There's always one turkey off the front. They didn't offer him a contract, I don't think. They didn't offer him a contract. They said there wasn't space in the team, I think. Even though he was very successful, did his job, and was a very good rider. Where's the beacon gone? Yeah. Yeah, you tell me, Russ. I don't think there's many people on Tron bikes here, is there? yeah, we're definitely going for the sprint tonight, Lord. I reckon we're going to set all new, different type of flipping PBs tonight. What better place to do it than on a Chaingang? It's not a race yet. It turns into a race, Charlie. It's a group ride to start with because they do giveaways. So when you pass through the finish banner, whoever's closest to Russ, well, Russ does like a lucky dip really, and yeah, like you can win prizes. So, Simon Warren's here from 100 Climbs. Some Pilates. Oh no. I don't know where Russ is anyway. You and Giorgio. It's getting a bit messy already. I don't even know what position I'm in. Oh, you haven't seen the best of it yet, Niels. We'll do some one-legged pedaling now. While I play my piano app. I'm joking. Oh, now we're going steady. So it was actually a good race this morning. Box Hill 3 times with a finish at the top of the 3rd time. Love that, Niels. Yeah, so this morning's race, it was me versus 2 Saris Pro Closet riders. We went up against Dan Fleeman, and we went up against the Tour de Hilo winner this past weekend, Gavin Dempster. Both of them in very good form, and yeah, we had a good race. So Gavin actually called the shots in the group that we were in. He was like, nah, nobody chase this break, let Lavrak chase it. I was like, oh, okay, sound. I'll wait to the climb and then I'll chase it. And we'll make it as hard as possible for you by going on the climb. So yeah, it was actually a really good race, really fun, really tactical. I came second to Dan Fleeman. I think we finished a minute or something in front of the chase group in the end. It was only a small group of A riders. And we ended up we rode 5.5 watts per kilo up Box Hill the final time. And then when we got to the final 200 metres, 300 metres, Dan Fleeman launched, and I launched I don't know, maybe half a second after he launched, and but his numbers went orange, straight away, and I knew I got to react. So when he went, I reacted. Charlie was standing on the turbo trainer, and I used my truck, which was that was the best I had at the minute. So Dan actually had a feather power up, which I think gave him that extra couple of k an hour in speed, so I was struggling then. But my initial acceleration of the sprint was really good, so that's positive as far as I'm concerned. Because like we said last week and this week, we're seeing if we can improve our sprint power, or at least get a little bit more comfortable with sprinting. I've not been a fan of vegan burgers. Swifties following me. Sprint next time. Oh, Russ, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I'm going to absolutely demolish her. Have you seen my sprint bit? Oh. Oh, what an incentive. We're going to go all ed mode on the sprint. Yes, Russ. This is what I'm talking about. This is a fun group ride structure. Trying to save some pennies. Let's have a guess what our peak wattage is going to be then for the sprint. $897. Everyone's going for like basically around the mark of what I did this morning. I did 922 I think this morning, so I like the high 80s, they sound good, they sound doable. How long is that sprint is the question. Minus 100. Only if we have those new power-ups that the Zwift brought out. $1,500. 1,500. You're watching the wrong stream. You're supposed to watch a Pritch. So it's not the first to cross the line for this sprint, it's actually the fastest time on that leaderboard. So, what's the best way to tackle that? Do I start at the back and get a slingshot and go through the pack? Now's the time to use the aero, innit? I have an aero, why don't I use it? $12 per kilo. Easy. We've got 12. Oh, come on, don't leave the gap, go. Oh, boys, you know I've been practicing my sprint training. And concentrate this, I'm not going to type back to you. Close that gap. Everyone should be world-class sprinters now watching my YouTube channel. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Dean. That's my that's what my power curve looks like. Really crap peak power, but I can hold it forever. Yeah, you can do 200 watts in one leg, can't we? Surely. We should have made a name of ourselves ages ago. Yeah, we'll be just. I've been emailing them back and forth today actually. Cycling time trials. There's some big plans in the works, isn't there? There's Russ. Yeah, I can pee without stopping. Get this group behind. Oh, that's not going very well. Whew. That was really fast leg speed for me. Happy with that. It's a long way better than what I was doing. No, we're not doing the Wahoo race. It's a bit short. We'll be done in like within 25 minutes. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, Mad Monkey, if you've been watching my videos. We back. No, this is the race, Johnny. It's a group ride and a race. So it's two combined. We got the Donny Chaingang, which is a group ride up to a certain point, and then it turns into a race. But it's all fun more than, like, there's no race ranking, there's nothing. So it's a Chaingang based on the real world Donny Chaingang, which is absolutely ridiculous. A really good community up in with the Donny Chaingang route. Sana. Poor luck, guys. Poor luck. People are going, how's Ben Zwift been dropped? And people are like, oh, it's Donny Chaingang. Swifty and Bridget. What's that you're talking about, Keith? Ah, right, okay. Got it. It's a TT. Blimey, so I could have actually won that. For goodness sake. What time is it? What time does it start? Well, no, probably couldn't have won it, but it might have suited me. Yeah, what time does it start? Starts at 7:40. How long is it? UK. How is somebody saying it is a TT? And somebody saying it ain't? So no drafting usually means TT. How else would it work, innit? You can't have a no drafting road race. Well, I probably won't do it actually. So I can finish this, but I've still got an hour till the race. It's a long time. I have to consult with Charlie first, see what she wants to do. Yeah, but I've done time trials in the past and I've just won every single one. Because of my watts per kilo. Isn't that right? Well, that's how Zwift works with time trials. Higher watts per kilo, more chances you have of winning. How many people in that race have got the same watt per kilo? Oh, seriously, Johnny? Okay. Don't play that card, Ryan. No, it starts in an hour. It starts in an hour, doesn't it, Lord? Ah, nice one, Bounty. Nice one. I'll have to ask Charlie first. See if I'm allowed to do it. So many dates. Is that a Zwift Community Live stream it, really? Where's the mods? Get them out. When do we update? Neil's got excited. I don't even know if we're allowed to attack. I just asked. Michael Gate, yeah. Oh. We're starting. Pretty quick running. Same day, same hour. Ah, yeah, realize there's no drop down, sorry, mate. Just gonna go full ham up here. Oh, is that it? We don't... Do we race? Do we race to the finish here, or is the finish the line? That was confusing. Races to the line, so the finish line back there. I can't help it. So, looks like people were confused by that. Anyway, it looks like we won to the finish line, but not to the finish line of the group ride, which is a bit confusing, but at least I know for next time. It was a good... That was good, that was a good fit. Look how hard the last bit was. It was good. Thank you for putting that on. Russ, Dean, everyone at the Donny Chaingang, thank you for putting that on. I'm sure I'm just repeating what everybody will be saying, but... Oh. Yeah, that was a good sprint in the end then, wasn't it? Like, what I'm finding as well is not only is my peak like a little bit higher, as you can see there we had 8:1, it's also becoming repeatable, so I'm able to obviously do it time and time again, at least 2 or 3 times, so that's good enough for the time being. No, well, I'm not gonna do too many races. Hey, Lionel Sanders is giving us a ride on. Look at that. Thank you, Sanders. The fan is so powerful. You can't tempt me, Johnny. That's where my self control comes in. I don't want to cook myself. I don't want to do that and the time trial, but I am doing it. Do I read all my ride-ons? No. I don't, you want to watch it, Johnny? No, I don't read all my ride-ons, but like, sometimes I see them at the top and Should we have a look at the power profile anyway? Let's have a look at what happened at the race. Oh wow, we hit 905. We hit 9:05. Oh snap! Come on! What is going on? Surely I'm not this responsive to sprint training. Surely. We've literally done like 3 sessions with sprints in. No, there's no way of seeing the power profile after. Wow. So that's all we're going to do now. Well, to be fair, if we did a 15-second sprint, judging off that power curve, we might be able to hang on to 800 watts for 15 seconds. Judging by that power curve. Johnny! When does this start? Oh. Okay, well, we won't do the time trial. The time trial will kill us. The time trial would wreck us, so let's have a look. It's only 17k. I haven't asked Charlie yet. What time's it on? Can't find it. $7:30. If it's on at 7:30, I might as well do the flipping. Oh, Matt is doing it. Matt Ellis is riding. I'm not riding that. If I've got to wait until 7:30 to ride, I might as well wait till 7:40. No, do you know what? I'm not going to race. I'm not going to race any of them. Because I got to think about the rest of the week. And if I race again now, after a race this morning, that'll be 3 races in one day, and then if I train tomorrow morning and race tomorrow night, that's not. Yeah, it doesn't matter if Matt is racing or not. There's too many races, isn't there? I wonder if there's any races on Road Grand Tours. Yeah, Johnny, but I've still got to ride at 4.5 watts per kilo the rest of the time, like. It's not so much the effort, it's just the accumulated fatigue over the course of a number of days. How does it fit in? Well, it doesn't really. If I'm already planning on doing what I'm doing tomorrow, and the hill climbs, which I really want to get the most out of on Friday, and it doesn't fit in, so that's it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you want me to stream every day, then it's best if I don't overstimulate myself and push myself, because consistency is key. And if I stream every day for you, then it gives you something to watch. It also gives me something to aim for, so I don't have to keep pushing myself every day. And we saw what happened on the weekend, so as it is, I'm feeling good, so I'm not going to push myself if I'm feeling good. I want to extend that for as long as possible. So anyway, we enjoyed it, didn't we? We had that was like quite a good insight into the Donny Chaingang, and we will be back. Mind you, if you're looking for something to watch, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, you won't be live streaming, but Com Hunt TV is going to race soon. I don't think you live stream it though, so. Anyway. Yeah, where do I find the Lance Armstrong documentary? Yes, Niels, I saw it. We were saying earlier, he's not gonna be associated with us anymore. We're not big enough. Everybody loves a bit of Lance. Yeah, I remember when Cam had like 15,000. Cam had like 15,000 subscribers, and it wasn't actually that long ago, really, was it? It was like maybe 2 years ago, probably less than that. But since then, he's had some pretty viral. I suppose you could call it viral. Well, you know, the video that got 1 million views, you'd pretty much call that viral, wouldn't you? Yeah, you'd be saying that with me soon, Niels. I'm only joking. We'll never get that big. Because who wants to watch me doing the same thing day after day? Building up to like big events and things. How much TSS do I look to produce a week? I look to hover where I'm at now to maintain a fitness of around 100 CTL. I do around 700 TSS a week on average. 700 TSS a week. So obviously if I wanted to, like, I'm not in what I'd call peak shape. Well, those of you that follow me for a while, you know what my peak shape looks like. But if I was to go into peak shape, I would have to do, a couple of weeks probably of looking to get up to around 130, 140 CTL, and then like a controlled rest to bring me down to 120, 115, and then that's where I see my best performances. So yeah, when I get outside and I can ride longer, that's when I'll be able to build back up to it. Because doing it inside, there's no way I'd be able to do it. No, I know you all enjoy watching it. I know you all enjoy. I'm only kidding. I get messed. Well, just even like on the live chat and things. Like, I see it, but with like, for me, I'm not really into doing like. I'm not into doing things for the views. I'd rather do things for the watch time. Does that make sense? So I much prefer like doing something that actually engages you and possibly leaves you thinking and like thinking how you can apply to yourself or better yourself, and that translates into watch time, and then the views kind of come from that. That's what I've experienced from my channel. Like, every channel's different. But I appreciate that, Ryan. I appreciate that, Niels. I often like sacrifice video length for I recorded a video today that's going to be like 22 minutes long, and it's just me talking about like my cycling club and how I feel like it's important to be involved in some kind of community, whether it's a cycling club or a Facebook cycling group or anything, because for lots of reasons, but I'm 100% behind like me just having verbal diarrhea and you watching 22 minutes of me like having a conversation than like me chopping bits of a video and like condensing it to 10 minutes, because some people want to watch a 10-minute video, but then some people actually want to see the conversation, and even if you don't, you can watch it in 2 times the speed. But yeah, the nuts challenges, like people have asked me to do like Everest and stuff like that, but the whole, for me, because I feel like I'm in quite a privileged position, that not a lot of people can do challenges, but not so much challenges, but like set myself goals and then document them on YouTube, rather than like doing things like, I don't know. I just find that sharing the story is, for me, a lot more appealing than producing one piece of content. But everybody has their own niche, and everybody loves watching certain things. But the CTL is, to a certain extent, it does translate to a lot of people, but it is very personal. So Simon, like, one thing for you might not translate. So like my peak CTL that I perform my best at is like 115 CTL. But for you, it could be different, and the way that you get there, so the way you achieve that, like building, and then resting, and then it's knowing where that all balances and where your optimal CTL is, as well as your ATL and It's like, no, Rob, I'm not riding outside at all. I've been riding inside for the last 8 weeks. Yeah, definitely, Niels. Yeah, that's true, Johnny. I know, but it's far too mainstream. Like, no, it's not far too mainstream. That's unfair to the people that have done it, because it's a really hard challenge, and it takes a lot of preparation, and it also takes a lot of pain and suffering and a lot of dedication. But I can't see myself doing it, certainly in the near future, because I feel like it's been oversaturated, and I feel like people are just looking at it and go, oh well, there's another person that's done an Everesting record attempt. But also I don't think I can do it, in the UK. Well, specifically local, like I definitely can't do it. I would have to, find a climb that translates to it. What's this ride you sent, Nils? What's this ride you sent? I'm going to click on it now. Oh, cripes. Nice, 231k and 3,500 meters of climbing. That looks horrible. I've not tried ketones. I want to. But no, I want to do things that people either don't want to do, or feel, or I want to do something that like only the 0.1% of the world's population can actually physically do. That's what I want to do. No, there's no race coming now, William. It's just me chatting. I'm gonna finish now in a couple of minutes. But yes, Niels. Yeah, I want to do challenges. I want to set myself challenges that I know that only like a very few select people will either think about doing because it's that hard, or even contemplate doing. Things that actually require like seriously high levels of either fitness. That's it, Niels. That was going to happen this year. It might still happen if the Marmot is still on in September, but that was supposed to happen in July. We were literally, above all else, going to go for the Alpe d'Huez KOM attempt in real life, and something that, because it speaks to me obviously as a hill climber, but it speaks to me in that challenge sense, that how many people can actually have a goal that they want to go and KOM or have a shot at riding Alpe d'Huez in sub whatever it is minutes. There's not that many people in the world that can even do it. So for me, like any of those climbs would create, but then again, like this comes back to what I think about the most, is that I will not produce that video as a one-off. Like if I was to go to Alpe d'Huez and give it my 100%, I'd want Cycling Hub to be there. We'd have drones there. We'd make like a really good production of it. I'd invest a lot of money into making it really, really well produced and like really like true to what I think looks good, in my opinion, on YouTube. There'll be a lot of GoPro footage. It'd be very aggressive, as in like camera angles. We'll have a motorbike, we'll have like all that kind of stuff that really brings it, it's all like immersive into the effort itself. I want you to be in that effort with me. And then, the whole build up to it obviously means more than the actual ride itself, because if I do like a Mont Ventoux attempt, then you will get people that just click on that video and it gets 15,000 views. And when it gets 15,000 views, you're like, well, like, yes, you've seen the end product, but you haven't seen what I did in the week up to it, or the month leading up to it, and that's what I'm all about. I'm all about, like, this ride today means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it means something in this little sprint kind of experiment we're doing over this 2 weeks. And the sprint experiment we're doing speaks to a lot of you in a sense that a lot of you commented on that video where I said that I would be, you know, I was here when I did 18 watts per kilo for 10 seconds. But like, in all seriousness, like, you've seen the beginning and you've come through this first week with me, and now you've already seen the results coming through, and now we see where we are in a week's time. This is a very short journey, but it speaks to how we portray the really long goals that we have in mind. Yeah, that's true, Niels. That's true. So with Taiwan KOM Challenge this year, we were gonna invest a lot of time being at altitude. We were gonna like contact the local football team, and I was just gonna sit in their altitude chamber, and you know, I train outside and then sit in their altitude chamber for a couple of hours every day, and just to get some kind of response to it, even if the science says that you tend to lose it quickly, at least it would give me some kind of response. So, you know, I think the only way I can... Taiwan is technically still on, yes, but I don't know if I'll be doing it. It's one of those where I'm like, because my preparation won't be right, then what's the point of going out there? I always said, when I had Taiwan on my mind, I was like, if I can't get the preparation right, I'm not going to do it, because I want to go there and I want to do it properly, and if I can't do it properly, I'm not going to go there at all. So that was the idea behind Taiwan. So if I can't get in altitude, if I can't get training sessions in because of coronavirus and everything like that, and if travel is going to be stressful, I'm going to call it off, because we were going to fly with British Airways, business class. Yeah, definitely stay off planes. Well, Rice Cooker, Charlie's done the singles, the 3 Ascents of Von 2. Charlie's done it. I've got to be honest though, like, even if, you know, if Taiwan is off, we're still going to do things. We're still going to, you know, even if it's in the UK, we're still going to make use of, you know, somewhat good form. The altitude thing is actually really interesting, and that's why I want to dedicate like a year to it, to see how much of a difference it makes. But I've done training camps at altitude. I've been to Tenerife, done training camps at altitude. Well, 6 or 7 years ago, this obviously wasn't as fit as I am now, and I've had very, very little performance decrease at altitude. That's not to say that, you know, I'm fine at altitude, but I've had very little side effects from riding at altitude and doing efforts at altitude. That's at the top of LTD itself. So yeah, who knows? Like, you know, what this period has done. If I can get a little bit deep with you now, what this period has done, it's actually benefited me massively, and a lot of it is down to you guys, like for tuning in and watching, because the more people that watch, obviously, the more people that notice that I'm being watched, and it really helps, you know, with the sponsors that I've got, and the supporters that I've got who aren't sponsors but are supporters, and you know, they really want to, you know, to a certain extent, they want to put money into it. You know, they really want to send me to do these things. You know, they want to invest in the story of, you know, can we get a rider who's literally Zwifted for the last 8 weeks indoors at sea level? You know, can we get him to KOM the greatest climb in the history of cycling, which is Alpe d'Huez? And when you sell that to a company, you know, or sell that to a brand or anything like that, they, you know, I say it like, I'm really humbled to say it, but they actually want to invest in it because it's quite meaningful, and I never thought that I'd be in a position to do that. And when I moved from Zwift to Saint Piran, you know, they've been amazing, Saint Piran, allowing me to be flexible and race for Wahoo the call, and to pursue the hill climbing thing as well. And you know, it's granted it's very different to what they're used to, but you know, I have to say that I've been overwhelmed, to say the least, by, you know, the brands that have come up to me that have noticed what you guys say, you know, the way you engage, the community that we have, and the way that I still, as just a 25-year-old, you know, I've kind of had a really good career in terms of, you know, under 23 British Road Race champion, you know, had top 10 finishes on GC and overall in races in, you know, Australia, Japan, you know, places that and really, like, not to say that my career is finished because I'm coming into my peak, but it almost makes me think like brands want to get behind somebody or something that speaks to a lot of people, and road racing does, and racing for a team does, and racing, you know, at the very pro level, you know, at the very, very top in World Tour, but you lose that that one-to-one with that rider the further up they get, because of contracts and because of, you know, they have to stay loyal to sponsors, they have to do this, that and the next thing. And for me, I'm starting to see the difference because of what's happened with coronavirus, and I'm now indoors the whole time. I'm now starting to see what would happen if I wasn't racing for an elite team, like if I wasn't even racing for Saint Piran, if I was just racing on Zwift. Oh look, we got a green jersey. And if I was just focused on doing, you know, hill climb events, or, you know, setting goals for myself like the Marmot or Alpe d'Huez or anything, you know, brands and companies want to get behind that because of what I'm portraying on social media and in real life. I'm portraying the story of, this is the start, this is how we work through it, and this is the end goal. And I think it's very niche in a way, because I've always been scared of putting like myself out there and say, you know, this is the goal, because you could fail at the goal, you know, and then you look like a right idiot then, because you've said I'm going to do 7 watts per kill for 20 minutes and people don't believe you, and then when you do it, they're like knocking on your door saying, wow, you're amazing, you know. And to a certain extent, Lord, yes, but next year I don't know what's going to be happening. I don't know what's going to be happening with British teams. So next year, chances are that some of the elite teams in the UK are going to step up, and they're going to step up to continental level, which is the level that I deliberately stepped down from. And many of you will know the reason why I stepped down was so that I could have more flexibility to have, you know, this hill climbing project, my own kind of little branch of sponsors or supporters in that hill climbing project, and it would be a completely separate entity to what I do on the road, or rather the road race. So it's become now a little bit more clear to me that next year it might be harder for me to remain on an elite team. That's the first time I've said that to you guys. It doesn't hurt me in a sense that I'm missing out, because I know that I've made the most of the opportunities that I've had over the last 7 or 8 years riding at that level. What I have to realise is that only now I've come into my prime, and funnily enough, only now I don't have those races that I raced, the Tour of Japan, Tour of Korea, where even though I did race, to a top 10 on GC and stage victory, stayed top 10 on stages, I could have done better if I was in the shape I'm in now. But that's how growth happens. Like, you can't rush it, and you never know when you're going to reach your peak. So for me, I've now been given the opportunity, looking back at what's happened, the last kind of 2 months with the growth of the channel, the growth of you guys have been amazing orchestrating that growth. You've been telling people to give it a thumbs up, you've been telling people to share it and to like it. I don't do that a lot because I'm how can I put it? I don't like to force it upon people. And I know it's not forcing it upon you, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. So sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But you guys, I really appreciate what you do. So I want to keep giving back. And by giving back, the only way I can do it is by still pushing myself and still creating content that regardless of how, niche the viewer is, as in we get, 2,000 or 3,000 views on a video, I know that the 2,000 or 3,000 people who watch that are 100% engaged in it. And it doesn't matter if we don't, if my British Hill Climb video has got 20,000 views, I know that 20,000 people have genuinely got something out of it. And if next year I'm not racing for a road team, then so be it. But I genuinely think that the direction that we're going in and the growth that I'm feeling in myself performance wise from the channel, from everywhere, and from brands and supporters, I have a feeling that the goals that I have that are shifting from basically winning the Tour of Japan, Tour of Korea, which those were my goals a couple of years back, and I was coming top 10. The goals are now like, well, how do I use that to do what I want to do now? Like, let's not live in that past, but I've got a lot of depth and strength out of racing those races. What can that push me to do as I'm coming into my prime? Like, what can we experiment on in the next 5 years when I'm coming into my prime? What climbs can we do and train for and create stories around? What adventures can we go on? What can we do that pushes the limit of like my ability to set a goal, and even if that goal is to beat Romain Bardet on Alpe d'Huez. By the way, I think Romain Bardet has the KOM. I have no idea. You might have to do some homework on that. But like, if that goal is that, then what does it take to beat that goal? And I don't think, and I'm saying this like from my point of view as it stands at this very moment, there isn't anything on YouTube that takes you from this to possibly next year standing on top of Alpe d'Huez with a KOM with 6.5 watts per kilo, 6.6 watts per kilo for 35 minutes or whatever the KOM is. I'm sitting there and looking at it and go, we literally dedicated like the last couple of months to this, and like you're all a part of it. And like regardless of what it does, like if it does nothing, I can sit back when I'm 65 and go, do you know what? I actually had a proper shot at Alpe d'Huez. I had a proper shot at it when I was in my prime. And if I was racing for a, you know, a team or, you know, anywhere where I was contract bound, I wasn't allowed to do it in the summer, in perfect conditions, with good support. I didn't have that opportunity. And for the last 8 years, I've raced for teams where, you know, I've been racing, you know, big races, don't get me wrong, but it's always that sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? I was willing to sacrifice, you know, when Charlie went away to do the Von 2 challenge, I really wanted to go and do that, but I had some races in the UK to do, and I've never been able to do it. And yet, I was always told by Martin, who passed away from motor neuron disease last year. He brought me up through Bynea Cycling Club, and he used to love the big mountains, and he always told me, if you ever get the chance of doing Mont Ventoux or any of the big alpine climbs, you have to do them. And you know, that was me then sacrificing those climbs for road racing. But maybe now, you know, for the next 5 years, it's time to think about how can we switch that up. And maybe when I'm 30, maybe I can come back to the UK. Well, say come back, I'll still be in the UK, but then maybe we can do something different. Maybe teams will be in a completely different position, and maybe they'll need, you know, a rider manager. Maybe, you know, our coaching will be in such a place where, you know, we'll be starting to, you know, run training camps. We'll be taking you guys, we'll be inviting you guys, and we'll be filling places out in like Mallorca, villas. We'll be filling villas, 40, 50, 60 riders, and we'll have 3 different ride leaders, and we'll be taking rides in Mallorca. Like, these are things that I genuinely think can happen in the next 5 years. It's just about keeping you guys in it, and trying to do something for you while I'm doing things for myself. Anyway. Yeah, we'll need some ambulances, don't we? No, you're true, Norma. You're very, very true. You're very, very true. But I don't know how strong I'll be when I'll be 44. But what I know is now that I'm capable of a very high power output for my age, my ability, and maybe now is the time to use it. You know, use it or lose it. There we go, Niels. Look, we've already got one made up. Send that to ComHunt TV. Get him to make up some designs. Lava shacks. Sounds like a lava shack though. So, thank you, Phil. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it there now, because I've taken up enough of your time. Yeah, I know, Lord. I know. It's a difficult one with road racing. It's a difficult one. I mean, you feel free to message me about it, Lord. Like, feel free to message me on Instagram. But like, Yeah. I know, Lord. I know. That's where the British cycling scene is slightly kind of, I don't know, it's a bit wobbly. That's a good time, Norma. 76, that's a good time. Fair play to you. But, no, you're right, Lord. Like, I mean, the number of times I've heard people say, you know, I should be racing on the continent. Yeah. I should be racing on the continent. I should be doing, you know, this, that, and the next thing. It really is from my experience, it really is a case of it's who you know. It's who you know, and that's not me being, you know, I'm not bitter in any way. I'm a very easygoing person. But it was very much like, you know, you need to have possibly an agent, or you need to be very savvy with these things, and you need to know like how you work for a team, and it's just a minefield. I don't even know where to start. It's just a minefield, and with everything that's going on at the minute with the YouTube community and everything, I just feel like we got something going. Do you know what I mean? Like the hill climbing scene. Like the hill climbing thing, you know, there's not a lot of people to do it. It's very competitive. It's a different dynamic to what we used to seeing. Like, problem is, like, if I rode for a world tour team, like, I wouldn't be able to say half the things that I'm saying. Well, in fact, like, I'm still not saying half the things I could say. Do you know? Like some of the things that I've told you, like, on live streams, like, you'd never... I'll tell you where the cycling scene is really, like, good, and that's in Asia. If you want to race some really good races, that's where it's at, Asia. The path of, like, pro cycling is very... There's no blueprint to it, really. There's no, like, I don't really know where to start. Yeah, I agree with you there, Niels. I agree with you. The entrance barrier to cycling is lower in the UK, yeah, 100%. But yeah, it's difficult to even, like, say how you'd even, like, you'd have to be, for a start, like you could ride at a high level in the UK, but then that doesn't mean you're good enough to ride at a high level anywhere else. I also think as well that for someone like my age at the minute, because only now I'm coming into my prime, it'd be very difficult to, like, join a higher ranked team and then get put at the back of the pecking order regardless of how large your FTP is, you know what I'm saying? But don't get me wrong, like, that would make a great story on YouTube, but the issue would be, like, how much would I be willing, like, how much can I show you? Because at the end of the day, my YouTube channel is all about showing you the warts and all, and just, like, if I could do it, I would literally not edit any video. Like, I would just show it as it was. But the problem with that is that the higher up you go in anything, like, if you were filming at your office in your job, like, 100% there'd be some things that, you know, your boss would be like, no, you're not filming that. And that becomes very difficult to accept in a world of social media where, you know, nothing is hidden. So yeah, goodness knows. It's definitely one for a live stream. Do you know what I think? These live streams just turn into more and more of us talking and communicating than anything else. Yeah, it's true, Niels. It's true, but it's different racing. You know, that's what I mean. Like we go and racing. I've raced with some riders. You know, we've raced to a very high level in the UK, and then we go out to like the Tour of Normandy, or we go out to France, Belgium, and we just get our heads kicked in. It's a totally different kind of racing, and obviously that's coming from me being a lightweight. But in terms of, you know, even the sprinters. Yeah, you're right, Johan. You're right. It's the same as Dowser as well. But I feel like in the future, I think it'd become a lot more mainstream. I don't think it's becoming mainstream yet, but I think it will do. I think you know, a lot of them are catching on to it, to allowing more access. But it's difficult. Like, it's hard enough going around knowing what you can and can't film, like in everyday life, let alone like being on a world tour team's bus and like, you know, goodness knows. I don't know. Anyway, we better end it here, otherwise I also think as well, I'll just leave on this point, I also think as well that in, you know, 3 or 4 years time, we could be in a completely different place. You know, in 3 or 4 years time, you know, if we've taken a step back from racing for an elite team. The thing is, I could go back and race for my club. You know, I could race for my club, and you know, obviously they'd love that. I'm sure you'd love that as well. But just to leave on this point, that in 3 or 4 years time, when I'm 29, I could be just a little bit fitter than I am now. And if I'm a little bit fitter than I am now, and the team is on the hunt for a rider who's quite good at social media, quite good at YouTube, has a good following, has quite a good influence, but also has world-class power numbers, then they could, like, by then I think the contracts are going to change in cycling. I think the year contracts are still going to be there, but I genuinely think they may well contract riders on a race by race basis. So just like they've done sort of with Ineos and Cameron Worth, they kind of brought him in and said, you know, you can ride these races and then you're free to go and do the Ironman. Now, in my opinion, you could say, well, that's brilliant. You've given him a 3-month contract for, you know, he can come back and ride a world tour. He can earn a couple of 100,000 and he can get a bit of influence from a different aspect. But what he's doing there is, I think, that is a really good model. Like, bringing in riders just for certain jobs. He's filling a hole for a certain time period. And I think that is something that you could very well see a lot more of in the future. Plucking riders and saying, we're going to hire you for this race, we're going to contract you for a couple of races, do you want to ride for us? And you know, that could well be a possibility. You know, could well be a possibility. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, I'm keeping my hand in with the online racing malarkey. because I love it. I don't love it all the time, but I love it most of the time. Thank you, Niels. I don't think any of us would give me that contract. Or Education First. Even though I know half the team in Education First. I know Tim Kennett, brother to Pete Kennett. Tim is a close friend. The mechanic, I know. I also know Tom Southern. I also know Luke Mello, who used to race on GLT Condo as well. So I know quite a few of them on EF. Yeah. But hey, we'll keep doing what we do, innit? And then see what happens. We don't have to worry about that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Besides, I think they'll be hiring me out for sprint races soon. Right. That's it from me now. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. We're gonna be racing. Oh, I don't know what I'm racing tomorrow morning yet. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll let you know. Don't worry, we'll start our own team. Nice with that. Do you like that, Lord? We'll cross that bridge and get to it. I'll speak to you soon, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.